let's get into the Final Fantasy V event. We're gonna start off on the Mega Thread because we get a new character in this event. Go-Go. The Final Fantasy V version of Go-Go has Black Magic 5, White Magic 5, and Bard 5. So he's a true sage. And he has Bard 5, which is useless for global because we don't have Bard things yet. However, one day it will be relevant. The most Bard is useful for right now in global is the 4-star Protectka and the 4-star Shelga, which is irrelevant since he's a white mage. Equip Dagger, Rod, Staff, Mage, Hat, Robe, Bracelet, Mage, low health. Low health, low mind, so he's definitely meant to be a black mage. $3%, 6%. New ability. Ah, finally. We get Chain Waterga. Yes! Black mages can do water damage again. Galoof can equip katanas. I'm gonna go check in game to see if Galoof can equip katanas for global. It probably can because we usually get balance changes before Japan. He can. Galoof can already equip katanas for global. Imperil mechanic changes. Oh, this is where Japan got their Imperil buff. So we got it much earlier than they did, which is nice. God, I can't even imagine Imperil being worth a damn at all if we couldn't stack it. Auto heal mechanic. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what that means. Alright, so that's what comes in the new event. So we got a new character. Where's this page on Reddit? Hold on one second. I will post it in chat. And now we're going to go take a look at the relic draws. Oh, okay, HP stock. That makes sense. No longer expires with time. I think we already have these buffs. So, whatever. So, first banner, we have Krill's OSB. Multiplier increases the number of fire damage abilities used. So, just basic mage OSB. It's fine. I don't know, it's something for Krill. I think Krill has dropped off because her burst isn't that powerful. But she'll always be a summoner, and she'll always have Sheep Song. And I probably should have used her in the Final Fantasy VIII Apocalypse when I'm making my team. I just completely forgot that I had Sheep Song. So she hasn't lost usefulness as a character, so this is a decent OSB. That's important. Nope, of course. Record synergy, small fire up. Go-Go's Rod, Go-Go's BSB, 6 times AoE water non-elemental damage on water burst mode. Mimic previous party action, decrease next Mimic's Way cast time up to 11 times. So, I mean, I've been hearing about Go-Go's burst for a while, and it's definitely weird. Nothing else in the game does this, and it makes sense because Go-Go's, you know, he's the mimic to end all mimics, right? I feel like if you really, really want to have fun and put a lot of effort into it, this could be pretty crazy. It's just practicality's sake. For the sake of practicality, you're probably not gonna want to use this. A lot of fights don't allow you to set up the way you'd like for something like this. and it's more for making videos on, you know, fights you already have well in hand, I think. Krill does have a fire weapon for all realms, but it's a 5-star native. Her getting a 6-star native would have been definitely better. What happens if he mimics a burst soul break? No, he cannot mimic a burst soul break. He mimics, I believe he can only mimic actions. Hold on one second. I am going to bring up Skyfire's list, and we'll see what he says about Go-Go's, because I believe it is on his list. He probably has a little more insight. He's got Go-Go ranked down at 10. Okay. What he says is, this is honestly a hard BSB to place. Command 2 is a standard 4-hit attack. Command 1 is where the interesting and fun stuff happens. Mimic will check back the actions of your characters and then mimic an ability that has been used by a party. It cannot mimic burst commands or soul breaks, but it can mimic all other commands, including those the user can't use in the first place. Also, since each use of the command reduced the cast time, you could actually reach instant cast. Imagine mimicking instant cast Meltdown Valley Garmanda while the rest of your party spams burst commands. I think this can be very OP, but might take too much work for Ness to pull off, thus rating in the middle of the pack for now. I agree completely. It would have been a different matter if he could mimic burst commands, but knowing that he can't mimic burst commands really, really harms it. Because really you are just limited to Meltdown and Valley Garmanda for being worth anything at all. And remember, his burst soul break gives him attach water, which doesn't really work together with either Meltdown or Valley Garmanda. I don't think there's any ability in the game that he could use, that he could mimic that would work with his attach water. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. However, this is the first mage water burst in the game, so I mean that's worth something, right? However, the second one, I believe the next one is the Final Fantasy VI water burst from Strago, which is actually awesome. And if anyone wants, yeah, chain water guard, but I guess I was aiming for something a little more stronger than that. It's only 2 hits. Like, it's in an effort to make his mimic command broken in some way, but I don't believe that it is. Terra gets a water BSB command. Yeah, you should show yourself out. And Lulu too, both of them. Strago is actually an excellent burst. So I guess I was looking for end water and then commands that were worth a damn. Then we get Strago. So next up we have another water burst. We have Bart's Burst Soul Break 2. And like is mentioned up here, Bart's finally gets a second Burst Soul Break, but it's water and actually underwhelming compared to what Squall and Cloud got. Absolutely underwhelming compared to Cloud, and just a huge gulf in power between Squall's and his. So this is why Bart's eventually ends up getting a Burst Soul Break 3, because they screwed this up, and he just gets a bad Burst 2 to go with his not spectacular Burst Soul Break 1. His Burst Soul Break 1 gets a little bit better later, but if you're looking to build up your Barts for the future and get his USB and his LMR and stuff like that, this isn't a bad Burst Soul Break. However, be aware that this Burst Soul Break also occurs on the banner with Bart's USB and his BSB 3. So if you wanted to pick it up to make him, you know, be a good water spell blade for those purposes, that's probably the much better place to pick it up. So far, we just have an okay burst, a not that great mage burst, and yeah. So this banner is already shaken up to be not so hot. And I've already made a comment about Krill's burst falling behind in power, and it absolutely has. It... Oh, great. Slight chance to silence on hit. That's awesome. Thanks, Krill's Asura Rod. Bart's Granhelm. RS small water damage up. Great. 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 But let's take a look at Bart's commands. So he has a one single target. He mugs power. So he does... he steals power and does one single target. And here's the crazy thing, is it's not even water damage. So he can't take advantage of the end water. However, it is only one single target. So it's not like... it's got a high limit in the amount of damage you can do anyway. You're only doing 10k at max. So that's kind of definitely basically worse than all the other characters in the game that get that second command that gives them Dark Bargain, as well as doing 2 times area of effect damage. So he gets shafted here, and he gets... That's it. It's a 4-time single target on a second command. So just completely... This is power creeped and dead on arrival burst. It's only here to make Bart's do something or extend his viability against water vulnerable bosses. Right, and the steel power doesn't stack with shout as well. That's why the Dark Bargain command on those other bursts like Squall are so good. Not Squall, Cloud, sorry. So we have Krill's old burst. I guess I'll go over the commands. 4 times fire, chance to stun. 2 times AoE fire, chance to slow. Has niche usage, but these need to be viable for this to be a better fire burst. Otherwise, it's just not. It just lags behind in damage when it comes to other people. So, I mean, it's something if you're lacking fire damage, but there's much better places to pick up fire damage. Let's see. And now we drop into the Super Soul Break category, where we actually have Go-Go, and he has a decent Super Soul Break. This is the Super Soul Break version of Riku's USB, where we get party attack and magic 30% and haste the entire party. Where Riku gets Proteka and Shelga on top of that is why that's a USB instead of this being a Super Soul Break. However, this is still the meat of why that's a good Soul Break, so this is actually a really good Super Soul Break, and like it. That 8 means water damage reduction, so minor water resistance. Not that great. Oh wait, never mind. So this is a sneaky little benefit to this. With the way resistances work, and why usually minor resistance isn't good, is because minor resistance is only a 10% damage reduction. And it gets overwritten if you have a moderate damage reduction. So if you had a moderate resist, and you wore Go-Go's hat at the same time, then the Go-Go's hat resistance would be overwritten, and it would actually not contribute anything at all. No. Riku has a USB that gives attack and magic plus 30% and haste, and protect and shell. It's a USB, not a Super Soul Break. The bikini outfit does not give that to entire team. Anyway, moving on. What I was talking about with the resistance. And here's the interesting part, is minor isn't the only thing that you can overwrite. If everyone remembers, the really, really popular resistance accessory that we got is... I believe it's just for her, it's not party. That's why, Senior. We have the thing called the Gigas Armlet. It's a very, very popular resistance accessory, and it has a minor water vulnerability on it. And you can overwrite that vulnerability with minor resistance. So it actually makes that worth using on quad element fights. With it do fire, ice, lightning, and water damage, where you wouldn't use Gigas Armlet before because you would be vulnerable to that damage. You could wear a minor resistance armor, and it would cancel out that vulnerability. Sure, it's not a big resistance with only 10%, but canceling out that vulnerability makes Gigas Armlet very, very nice. It's party? Oh, it's self-instant cast. Gotcha. Alright, there you go. But the haste is really what makes this so much better. And that's why Riku's Super Soul Break isn't that special, but this is. That is unfortunate error. Gigas Armlets are really nice. Alright, next we have Krill's Beast Killer. Single target summon magic damage and party quick cast magic 3. Not good. The quick cast magic is nice, but I can't even imagine this being terribly useful in Sid mission scenarios, because quick cast magic 3 to party isn't that great. Like, consider the Sid mission that I did tonight with Quistis. I just took her out of the party, and she has a haste quick cast magic 3. It's nice, and I would have liked to use it. It just gets pushed out of teams, and hopefully, yeah, we'll get some more Gigas Armlets in the green shop. Lemonade does bring up a good point. If this summons unicorns, then it's an S tier relic, and it makes this banner automatically S tier. However, if it's not, then, you know. Ooh, slight chance to paralyze on hit. It's even better. Next, we have Bartz's Excalibur. Wow, this is an old relic. It was really good back in the day, but we're getting tired of it by now. It is a holy sword, so plus 20% holy damage, but it's really, really old. It's over a year old, and the party defense 50% is cool. You know, I actually may end up using this in the Sid mission for Final Fantasy V. We'll see. But it's not something we're looking for in a banner. Mesa Zeus, this is an old Medica. However, a good old Medica. Kiraga Medica plus party resistance plus 50% isn't bad. Of course, it's no Magic Blink Medica, but it's still decent for Sid missions. Ooh, God. You know, this is probably the best relic on the banner. The Soul Break on the banner, Sea Lord's Broadside for Ferris. Area of Effect Enemy Attack Magic minus 40% for Ferris. Let's see if we can find a better relic on this banner than Sea Lord's Broadside. Remind me, and I will give you a war story of Bartz's Excalibur after the analysis is done. I think Gogo's hat gives it a run for its money as the best relic on the banner. Ferris' Yuichibo. Yeah. Yeah, this is a really bad banner. Sucks, because Final Fantasy V needs some help. Fortunately, the next Final Fantasy V event has a great banner, like, exceptional banner. I do not believe it is. I'll go check Dark Beef, but I don't believe so. Even so, that's the Keeper's Choice 1, which is a non-guaranteed 5-star banner. It's kind of a rough one. Oh, you're thinking Avis Killer. Right, yeah. I thought so. Sea Lord's Broadside would have been a different bag of tricks. Because I remember recommending that banner to people way back in the day when it first came out. I said, this banner is okay if you need Ramses Tailwind, but everything else on the banner is terrible. I wouldn't have said that if Sea Lord's Broadside was on it. Anyway, so that's a bad banner. Here we have Lena's Freelancer Dress. USB Moogle Reward. Party Attack Magic Resistance plus 30% HP Stock 3000. Believe the second occurrence of HP Stock 3000? The first was Garnet's Super Soul Break 2. This isn't bad. And I believe this is a plus holy damage light armor too. Yeah. Plus 20% holy damage up on light armor. Fortunately, only mined up. But still, a 6-star mind armor with native plus 20% holy damage up, and it's got a good soul break on it too. So this isn't bad. That's not a bad relic. We have X-Death's Demon Rod. I believe is plus dark damage up. It is. Neo Black Hole. This is just X-Death's version of Imperil Dark. Higher multiplier when doomed. Okay, that's fine. 1 AoE and Self Memento Mori. That's cool too. So I don't mind this burst at all. It's a plus dark damage up rod. And it's just fine for Imperil Burst. And I do like X-Death as a character a lot. However, I think this one suffers from the syndrome of just showing up on a better banner. Because X-Death is one of those characters like Celeste that is defined by their Grand Cross mechanic. And X-Death gets an upgraded version of his Grand Cross that shows up on the next Final Fantasy V event as well. And on a USB, a very good USB for X-Death. And I believe... So I'm going to pull that banner up now because I think it's important to look at the future and the recurrence. So we have... Dorgon. It's probably the best way to look for this. So we have X-Death's USB. Okay, never mind. X-Death's BSB does not show up on this banner. Okay, so I'm going to consider that another win for the banner. X-Death's BSB is fairly good. On a good character. Lena's Nirvana. Her BSB is weird. It's party re-raise. It's not that great in a world with stuff like Last Stand. So not really looking for this on bursts anymore. Self, Mind, and Resistance is good because Lena's burst is an attack mage burst. Where she does 4 times single holy damage and gives herself another mind boost on top of that. And she can medica at the same time. So this actually ends up being like a better version-ish of Penello's. Penello's at least has the mind and magic buff to entire party and cast. However, it's only 15%. This is more selfish, but in the end ends up doing more damage. I'm not a huge fan of attack mage bursts because... Well, at least not Lena's and Penello's, because it feels like the best way to use them would be in a party that's dedicated to them. And with the scarcity of people that can contribute to an attack mage team. I mean, I know I've done it in multiplayer many times with the team that I hang out with in a Discord, and that's really fun. But this is definitely a multiplayer thing more, and especially because of the re-raise. It's more of a multiplayer thing than a single player thing. So I'm not going to consider this a win on the banner because there's just so many other healer bursts that can do more than this, and it's hard to make a single player White Mage team. Galoof's Sledgehammer. His burst level break is actually good. Peril Fire, single target, and he has an interesting little mechanic on both of his commands. He has 2 times AoE, 4 times single target. This is fine. Fire and Earth, and it heals each one of these heals the lowest health member of your team for 25%, 35% of their health. And as we've seen with Rafa's burst level break, that well, this one came first. I believe this was the first with this mechanic. And now we just know for a fact that these are good mechanics. That this is very helpful amount of utility for a party. So I like this burst as well. Galoof's Judo Uniform, Super Soul Break, Party Critical 50%, sure. High Regen, sure. And Fire? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it works with his bursts. So that's not bad. It's a good complementary piece for him if you have Galoof's Burst. I like this. Great full throttle thing. And especially useful because the full throttle dungeons, which will be being released soon, whether that's with the Final Fantasy VI event that's coming or through the Extreme Festival at the end of June, add Sid missions for them. And those only come in effect for the Torment versions of Full Throttle. The We're going to get full throttle dungeons in the realm events, but those won't have Sid missions. You can use whoever you want in those. However, in the torments, we get a little halvesies Sid mission where you have to use 3 people for max rewards from the realm itself. And then you can use 2 people, they're your wild cards from any other realm. So there being a Final Fantasy V Torment means that this would be an excellent duo to have for the Final Fantasy V Torment Full Throttle. Let's see, Ferris. This is really getting old to me. They're just throwing this on everything. It's turning into the new True Blade of Victory. And the problem with this Super Soul Break now, while it was a good Imperil win back in the day, it's going to get overwritten by Ferris's USB 2. Yes, her USB 2. It appears on the next Final Fantasy V event. It is also an Imperil Wind area of effect. Oh no, it's single target. Okay, so it's still got some usage. So it's not completely useless. However, I do believe, yeah, it also appears on this banner as well. So, because they want to throw it everywhere. But yeah, she also gets a single target Imperil Wind on her USB 2, which is really just awesome. Xdeath's Cuirass, Magic Blink, that's fine, I guess. Just load out Xdeath's utility. Sometimes Magic Blink breaks fights. And then Dark, which I guess if I'm saying that Galoof's is good, then this is fine as well, because it pairs up with his Imperil Fire Burst, while Xdeath has an Imperil Dark Burst. So, this is a good Xdeath banner. Xdeath and Galoof, and then Lena. So this is definitely the better banner in the event. It's got a lot of neat stuff on it. I won't be pulling on it, even though I really do need Final Fantasy V things. I'm going to try to squeak by the Sid mission. Carried by Sheepsong. But I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to pull on this banner if you were interested in Galoof or Xdeath. I guess Lena too. Like, I do like this USB. Oh, was it? You're right, sorry. I didn't see the random. So yeah, it effectively does overwrite the usefulness of her Serpent Scale. Unfortunate. Yeah, I agree, Raccoon. I don't mind this Soul Break because it does give him End Dark, and that's, you know, something to use in Full Throttle with him, but yeah, his Grand Cross would have been much better. I would have liked that because I don't plan on pulling for on the second banner here, which is his USB Grand Cross, so I would have liked his old Grand Cross to come back. That would have been nice. And with Soul Breaks getting phased out of banners soon, that's unfortunate. So any questions about these banners? Or the next event's banners? I guess, no, I'll take a look at banner 1. Just to show people why I plan on... I chose this as my Final Fantasy V banner to go in at least like 200 Mithril on. So that'll take care of my Final Fantasy V synergy for a while. Why is Final Fantasy V so shit? I don't know. I think they realized that, and that's why Bart's gets a BSB 3, and I don't know why Ferris gets a USB 2. I guess DNA just really likes Ferris. Well, Japan really likes Ferris. But, I mean, Bart's gets a BSB 3 because they wanted to get Bart's right. And obviously from our evaluation on the first banner, they just didn't. His BSB 2 is just shit compared to the rest of the lead characters at this point. But her Bartz's BSB3 is actually legitimately good. Ferris's USB is extremely good. Imperil Wind, damage, and a large tri-break. Attack and magic tri-break. And the third one is a sneaky beneficial tri-break. That's Mind. And remember what I talked about when we talked about Ferris's soul breaks in her legend materia during the character investment talk, is that she gets a legend materia that benefits and gives her more damage the more target stats are lowered. So if you can break... Oh, sorry. You probably can't see this in most, so I'll blow it up. If you can break 5 of the target stats, which means the difficult one is usually Mind, if you can break all 5 of those stats, that increases all damage output done by her by 20%. That's a really good legend materia for her. And it works well with this because this allows her to by herself break Mind. And Bartz is... I'm not going to go into his USB, just take it from me. This is one of the 2 reasons why he's S tier on my tier listings. It's just amazing. It's a chase mechanic, and it just makes him into the ultimate Spellblade next to Celes. He's more damaging while she's more utility. Dorgon, his burst isn't bad. Party attack and defense 30%. And Imperil Earth. I'm not as big of a fan of Imperils that don't deal damage, but it's okay. It is an Earth plus armor, though, so it's still a good relic regardless. Okay, so with his first command, it gets nice night damage plus 2. So it's 15%. Night damage plus 15% 2. So it works twice. So you can use this, and then use this to use one of the charges, then use this to use one of the charges and give you 2 more. So you could just alternate. Why you would do that, I'm not totally sure. I think it's more so you can use this for the Earth and Wind, and then allow you to use something like Gaia Cross on the side if you're having trouble like capping, to take advantage of his Imperil Earth as well as the night damage plus. Anyway, it's not a bad burst. And next we have Bartz's BSB3. I actually passed it. 4 times single target, and it does the same thing. Spellblade damage plus 15% too. This is the same thing that Celes has on her first command, and it's very, very good. This is more of an Earth burst because he gets an Earth on entry, but it can double as Wind as well if you're facing against Wind vulnerable targets. And single target, self attack and resistance. This is Meiku Shisui. It's a very good status. And he gets it too. Yes, Ferris's USBs do stack. Ferris is a full throttle machine because of how useful all of her soul breaks are. So Bartz's BSB3 is excellent. And we have a recurrence of Bartz's BSB2 that we saw on the first banner. So with this, he can be Earth and Wind. With this, he can be Water. And all of these commands are Spellblade type, which, when using Wind, Water, Fire, Earth Spellblades, it chases additional attacks. So it works together with that. If you're able to use multiple soul breaks. Otherwise, it probably depends on the fight, whether or not you're looking to use a burst or use USB instead. And this is a Legend Materia banner, so there's 2 Legend Materia relics, and they're both very good. And they're both for Bartz and Ferris, which is what you want. So those are hits, when sometimes Legend Materia can be big misses. Dorgon's Sword, this is an old relic for Dorgon. However, It is the only plus wind damage sword in the game, which means that this is a useful relic for people, not only Doragon, but Bart's. Though Bart's can use spears, so if you can get Luneth's OSB, you're in good shape with them. But more like for Cloud is a wind character. Zac, wind character, would really benefit from having a stacked up and augmented version of this sword. Yes, Bart's is Captain Planet. He just doesn't know it yet. DNA's been trying, but he finally gets there on this banner. Ferris is bad Super Soul Break. Not bad, just outdated. Galoof, we saw this on the second banner last event, and we saw this on the second banner last event. So, kind of a... I'm not going to say that this is a miss for Galoof, but it doesn't really... Where the second banner of the current event, or the event that's coming on Thursday, has Galoof's Burst Soul Break on it, so this is a complimentary piece to it. This banner doesn't have anything for Galoof, so I didn't want to see this here. Frankly, I would have preferred to see, like, you know, Bart's True Blade of Victory, because that at least gives him plus 10 attack. These don't work with this banner at all. However, the top of the banner from, like, this point up is so damn good that you don't care. Senior, please don't taunt me. Don't taunt me. There is only one plus wind magic dagger in the game, and it's not even in the game anymore. It's only exists in people's memories and inventories. So yeah, this is the banner that I'm saving my Final Fantasy V chastity for. But if you are in dire need of Final Fantasy V synergy, I suggest staying away from the first banner, and I think the second banner has a lot more going for it. I've never pulled on a Final Fantasy V banner. Yeah, I'm sure it did. I used Alphino today. I'm happy about that. I feel bad that I left him on the sidelines for so long. Alright, so